And good evening. Welcome to Outside the Box here on Critical Mass Radio, where, yes, indeed, it is our turn. And I have a hunch that maybe some of the people that have, control of the station, whatever, actually share this view that we're going to share tonight. But, that's why we have disclaimers anyway, just to make sure. And we have Tony on the board, yes?
Indeed. Hi, guys.
Good to have you. Oh, my God, it's so good to have you. Yeah, that was a crazy month. But anyway, you're back right where you need to be, at the helm. Yeah, we're going to cover a couple things tonight. I have Laura Ann Woldridge joining us tonight. How's that, Tony? Was that okay?
Yeah, perfect. Far away.
All right, there we go. Anyway, I wanted to touch on, I'm not sure, I'm just going to check my Skype here. Oh, I love this so much, just bouncing all over the place. There we go. Yes, we do have Laura on the board. Yes, indeed. Okay. I want to cover a couple of things first. Do you want to say a quick hi, Laura, while let people know that you're there? And again, this is an open forum, so please, guys, we're going to cover a lot of stuff tonight, different angles, a lot of things. But Laura, how are you doing?
I do. Hey, I'm great. Thanks. Thanks for bringing me into the cornucopia.
Yeah, the cornucopia of love, peace, and eternal grooviness. There you go.
Hey, Tony.
Hey, Laura.
All right. You can answer the question, Laura. It's okay. How's it going?
Oh, I didn't hear him. Hey, it's going really good. Very well.
No, that's because some loudmouth Irish bitch stepped all over him there. No,
I'm going to ask you what that was if you put those two together, a limey and a mick.
What you have is a very confused individual. A little trivia, yes. Limey was a name given to English sailors based on scurvy and their lack of vitamin C, so they always had lots of lemons and limes, thus they got the name Limey, just to make sure they had enough vitamin C to fight off scurvy when they were at sea. That beautiful, salted beef diet, pure poison. It's a wonder these guys knew how to fight or could fight at all. But I wanted to, I've had a lot of questions lately. Well, I get them every day, but along the lines of the birth certificate. I'm trying my best right now to, get the concept into people's heads that you are the one inflicting the damage on yourself by fighting to be something that is not you, never was you, and is property that belongs to somebody else. It wasn't created by you. You have no claim to it whatsoever, and if you do so, you are actually, in fact, committing fraud. That's how they've been owning our asses with this silly birth certificate thing. And that's a tough pill to swallow, because every piece of ID that you're walking around with is fraud. What you've done is you've aided and abetted in your own fraud. You entered it willingly. There's the ethereal contract, your free will choice, and there you go. Just to give you a couple of overviews. I mean, this is an incredibly simple concept, but it is so very incredibly difficult to get across to people because it is absolutely backwards and in the mirror of everything we've been, taught to believe. It's like courts and what have you. Go in and fight and whatever. Yeah, they'll let a couple of people go in, have at each other and pay their lawyers and because the bar wants to make money. That's their whole business, right? Lex mercentorium. And minute one of theirs is involved, different story. They change the rules to suit themselves because they can do that because you're committing fraud, and they can write whatever rules they want. That's what they did with me, And even I had a very full understanding of what the name was. It's a lot more simple now with the information that's out. The bottom line is this: your mom and dad came up with the name. I have to assume that there was a male and female involved if you're walking around on Earth. So you do have a mother and a father, biologically speaking. Unless, of course, you were cloned. At which point, we'll bring Tony into the show and let him explain that one. Fair? Okay. Bottom line is this. You've heard everyone talk about the separation of church and state, right? Well, there is no separation, right? They work in collusion because they're one and the same. Banks, church, state, all the same thing. You can see that with Rome, London, and Washington direct current, D.C. When you start seeing it from the ethereal perspective, you start making a lot more sense of it. So I put up a definition in the Skype chat rooms, and I should probably, you know what, I'm going to throw this on my Facebook right now for everyone on Facebook so they can actually see this definition. It's a word of admiralty. This was a big trigger for me. And a lot of alarm bells went off and a lot of dots connected simultaneously with this one little definition. So I'm just going to post it in my Facebook. For those listening that are on Facebook and aren't in my Facebook, please feel free to contact me. Kate.Renee.5, KATE.RENE.5, and that gets a hold of me. And there we go. It's posted in Facebook, so anyone that's on my list just got this piece of information. And it's a very handy little piece of information, actually. While you want to maybe give out your contact information so people can get to you. I know you're having a little issue with Facebook right now. They like to mess with us on occasion, but you could, we'll start getting that out so people can get in touch with you, where they can get your book and stuff like that.
Yeah, sure. The book's available at Syncrenicity.com, which we've put out there quite a bit recently. It's, I'm going to have to spell it now, aren't I? www.syncrenicity.com. So that's Syncrenicity.com. You'll find Kate's information there, mine, and Santos Bonacci's. Just go to my profile information, and at the bottom of the link you'll find a web address where people can download Blueprints of Cosmic Consciousness free. It won't cost you anything, but it will certainly save your life if you've got some horrible little disease or something, whereby we actually know what's going on with it and how to put an end to the little critter. And as for Facebook, people can contact me on facebook.com/Tony.Kilvert.98. Thanks.
Perfect. There we go. So Tony is it Tony.Kilvert.98?
Tony.Kilvert.98. Yes.
Perfect. All right. So now people know how to find you, and we're pretty friendly people. I think I freak a lot of people out when they tag me direct, and I go, "Hey, how's it going?" Oh my God, yeah, it's me. It's okay. And for those new listeners, the voice is much lower than my gender would indicate. We'll leave it at that. Okay, getting back to what we were talking about. You see, my fundamental philosophy was very simply this: the birth certificate is that one thing that has created such a mess for all of us. And the philosophy is simple: if it got you in, it will get you out. The poison is the cure. So I was trying to figure out, how are we in dishonor? And listen, we know the Goonies are in dishonor. They're running around beating people up, tasing people, throwing people in jail. Ridiculous fines that they put in their pockets and all the rest of the crap that goes along with it. Stealing houses, working for banks, and all the rest of it. Yeah, there's a slight bit of dishonor there. But how are they getting away with it? You see, because in the universal law sense or natural law sense, that would be utterly impossible. So I had to figure out how are we breaking divine universal law. And the biggest one is, you don't know who you are. You think you're a walking meat stick with an identity attached to you. And in that light, well, you're free game. And, there's no crime other than, not something I would do, but when you're talking about beating a dead horse or beating a dead human, it's just not looked upon nicely in society. But I'm sure there's got to be some crime there, but whatever. Bottom line is this: birth certificate is one. It is a death certificate. All right. I had and owned my name for 3 days as a gift from my parents, and then they sold it. They sold it on June 18th, 1964. I arrived here on June 15th. Now, I'm going to try to keep this as simple as I can, because this is a very difficult concept, because you cannot look in the mirror and say it's all my fault yet, but you're going to have to, because it is all your fault, as it was all my fault. This is where we turn the corner, go 180 on everything we thought was real and we thought we could do. So here it is. The birth certificate is a death certificate. It renders you effectively dead. Any claim that you make to that creation that your parents came up with, you didn't name yourself. See, there's a difference with me and most. I did. I gave myself my own name. which has no registration attached to it, has nothing attached to it. Nothing legal or whatsoever. And anyone that goes out and tries to get a legal name change needs to have their head examined. And should I mention also to my LGBT brethren, my gay brethren in particular, avoid getting married at all costs, because they're looking to claim everything within your relationships too. And as soon as you understand when you give away that free will choice by entering into the Whore of Babylon, i.e. marriage certificate, driver's license, social security number, whatever the case may be, if you are working with the Whore of Babylon, you are part and party to your own destruction. And that's where universal law kicks in. It will kick your sorry ass, as it did mine. Promise. That's not a light statement I'm making there. All right, so let's go to the Ward of Admiralty just for a sec. I'll try to codify this. I really need to put this out in an essay for people. But again, it's so much easier talking about it. Anyway, Ward of Admiralty. This is right out of Black's Magic Book, the 9th edition. Ward of Admiralty. Pay attention to the phonics. I need you to hear what I'm saying, not see the spellings or assume the spellings of what I'm saying. I need you to hear it and see it at the same time. So let's get hooked on phonics. Ward of Admiralty. A seaman, so called because of the legal view that a seaman in contractual matters should be treated as a beneficiary and the other contracting party as a fiduciary because of the perceived inequitability of their bargaining positions. Let me put the characters in place for you if you didn't see it. Well, semen, of course, is the male ejaculate. Fair? There we go. Now we're hooked on phonics. Now, the semen is so called because of the legal view that a seaman, or male, father, in contractual matters, should be treated as a beneficiary, and the other contracting party, i.e. the female, mother, as a fiduciary, because of the perceived inequitability of their bargaining positions. Mom builds the trust. Dad had very little to do with it other than maybe a couple of pints, and hopefully he lasted longer than 10 minutes that night. Okay? That's why there is a perceived inequitability, and that's why the father is the beneficiary and the mother is the fiduciary of the fruits of their labor, a.k.a. children, which they very handily, through deception, the original fraud occurred because your parents were deceived. So the birth certificate has nothing to do with you. Absolutely nothing. And it is the only document the government freely and willfully gives to you in the hopes that you will commit fraud by claiming it as your own. And look what's happened. You wonder why cops go around beating people up? Well, they can, because I guarantee you, most of the people walking around are carrying id entity. They're dead. So they can do whatever they want. And the sooner people wake up to this reality, the sooner we get the system down. And it's got to come down. So is that fairly straightforward, guys?
Yeah, straightforward here.
Yeah, it is. But how do we handle that in a real life circumstance? Say if I got pulled over, say for not having a license, or stating that fact. There
we go. Now let's put it into practical use here, shall we? Great question, and that was the one I was hoping for, because it pretty much covers it all. See, here's the thing. The government sends you something. It's think of it like, do you ever get junk mail that has 10 DVD offers, or join this club, or do this or do that, order this? Did you ever get that kind of?
Enlarge my penis is what I.
Yeah, that's another one too. Yes, right. Now, what happens with that mail if you do nothing with it? It goes in the garbage, right? Because you're not willing to contract. Because these are all entities, sending out information, hoping that they can get you into a contract to sell you something, commercial, commerce, whatever. Now, if you don't send them anything, do you have a contract? No, you absolutely don't. The thing is, you have to fill out a form, send the payment along, and send it off to them. Now you're in a contract. You have a legally, lawfully, universally binding contract because you had an active will involved. It was your choice to fill out the form. Your intent was there before you put pen to paper. So now you've created a spiritual bond with that paper before you even fill it out. Same thing applies with government birth certificate. You see, it's an offer to contract. And they're hoping. They are so hoping that you will fall for it and you will try to claim that name and go after the benefits that are involved in it, because what they've done over the last 100 or so years is, well, pretty much since the Civil War, is they've turned our world into a communist, socialist, oligarchic dictatorship. That's what the New World Order is. And the more benefits that people take, as far as, going out willfully, I mean, there's a catch-22 here in that some people, and this is no harm, no foul, you need to understand this, are getting benefits, quote unquote. Look, beneficiary benefits, there's a reason why they're very similar, are getting that for their mere survival, and it is truly a pittance on what is being made in the bonds, right? So as long as you know who you are, and you're coming at it from the, well, they screwed me anyway, and it's about changing intent. I don't care about the physical actions as much as people changing the intent and knowing what it is they're dealing with. That is the critical factor for me. That is the God factor. This is where you start taking back your willpower, your free will, and then you start manifesting in an entirely different realm. That's where this world changes, in the intent only, not in the physical. It's already built, it's already created. What we have to do now is just redirect that creation. Okay, so the government sends you out a DVD offer called a birth certificate to your parents, and of course they assume that that's because it's got the same name on it, well, it looks the same, and when they read it, it sounds the same as what they've named the child. So therefore they think, well, this must belong to the child. And we all do. We all thought that, because that's how the system was implemented on us, in a very, very drip-by-drip duping of the masses. And it was quite effective. However, we woke. Oh well, sorry. Now, if you willfully use that document, and you cannot get any ID without it, because they need you to commit fraud. In order for them to have their system work at all, they need your free will choice to play with them. And they're bullies. They really don't have a whole lot of love in their hearts. So I don't know about you, but I'm not going to walk down any dark alleys with knowing that there's a bunch of thugs in it that are going to rob me. And that's effectively what the system is. That's what your courtrooms are. That's what your police forces, your law enforcement agencies are. These are all a bunch of privateers, a bunch of armed thugs working in a mafioso state of mind, because their masters above them, who have masters above them, are telling them to do this. And they go, oh, okay, George, and they go. Right? That's why these guys get away with so much. And anytime, cops get reprimanded, I forget how many murders there was in Canada last year by the police, but not one was charged. And I'm talking ones that die in custody. And there's lots. I think it was something like 500 last year. Crazy number of people.
Well, they're all in the big club, aren't they, Kate?
Mm-hmm. So here's the thing, and this is why it's your fault. I said this the other night, and people don't like hearing this, because this is as true as it resonates with me to the very core of my lion heart. That's where this is with me. Somebody comes up to you. You were saying, Laura. Somebody comes up to you and asks you for ID. Well, the only answer I would have for them, well, this is what the government gave me. This is all I have. Your government gave it to me. And it says right on mine, for example, and it doesn't matter, it applies to all. You cannot use it for identification. If you want to test drive this, take that into, if somebody asks you for identification, hand them a birth certificate. They won't take it. They won't take it. They'll ask you for picture ID. And of course, only government ID is picture ID. Think like even in high school identification cards, college, university, you name it. That's all willful fraud that has been committed, because you don't know who you are. You think you're a dead entity on a piece of paper that was owned by your parents and sold quite legally and quite lawfully to the state for benefits. So when you understand the word benefit and beneficiary, who's the beneficiary again? Laura, quick question to you. Who's the beneficiary out of mom and dad?
Mom and dad, or me.
No. The beneficiary is dad, right? Because the child is the fruit of the labor, and mom is the fiduciary. She's the main creator of the child, because she's the one that does all the building, right? She's the one that feeds it and grows it, and then eventually gives birth to it. All dad did was spend maybe, like I said, hopefully more than 10 minutes in the process of procreating to make that, contract solidify, as it were. But mom, this is why the system is all based on register. Because what they're looking to do is to capture the divine, creative, feminine essence through the stir, which is what any word with S-T-E-R in it is actually divine, creative, feminine essence. And Regis means to rule. So that's what the whole system is based on, to rule that divine, feminine essence, because they want the true creation, which is the female. You know, I don't see a lot of guys having babies.
Yeah.
You know, and I think, quite frankly, it would probably hurt a lot for most guys.
It's a good thing.
You know? So that is the fundamental ethereal spiritual side of it, and I really need people to get outside this box, because until they do, they are trapped in this subjugated reality that has no holding on them once they wake up to this. And the thing is, going back to someone asking you for identification, well, you're fulfilling the obligation to these pea-brain individuals because you're handing them a piece of paper and they get all excited and start frothing at the mouth and go, oh my gosh, I get to make some money. I get to make commissions because I'm a commissioned officer. I'm a commissioned privateer for the state. You know, this goes back to the days of the ships on the high seas, hired privateers by, you know, kings and queens to go out and raid other ships from other countries under contract and commission. They got paid for the services, a percentage of the booty when they brought it back, and this allowed them to travel freely on the high seas in amidst all the warships of the same flag, and not be hindered. For booty, yeah, they're looking for booty, you know, and not the kind of booty we speak of. Mind you, they probably did it at some point, but I really, really need people to get this. So now you've got, you know, I do love Peter's way of describing these guys. Now you've got Deputy Donuts all frothing at the mouth, excited and everything else, because you gave him a piece of paper, and then he opens it up and it becomes a birth certificate. And the only claim I make is that's the only thing that the government ever gave me. And it says right on it that I can't use it for identification, so why would I? Because if I did, I would be committing fraud willfully, and I cannot do that. Would you like me, is it your wish for me to commit fraud? And my answer to that is quite frankly no. And there's been a whole lot of suffering to get to this truth, guys. This truth that I'm sharing from my experience did not come cheaply. And I'm only hoping that you will take it freely. And maybe just, you know, mull it around a little bit. Get rid of the ego and go, you know, for a second there, you know, maybe there's something in what Kate's saying tonight that is going to resonate with me. Because if I don't have a contract, if I don't willfully go out and pick up their DVD deal at the License Bureau, or the join this club deal at the Social Security counter, or any of these other things in a claim, then there's no contract. Because I never willfully, knowingly, with what information I had, would enter into a contract knowing it's fraud. Sorry, that's just not something I would do. So, standing true to my guns, I won't do it. So,
well, I think what it's going to take is for everybody to catch on to that mindset, so that it's not people, you know, isolated, you know, going through what you went through. You know.
Well, the simple truth is this, and you're right. Simple truth is this: that stuff, that curse that the pocket full of curses in your wallet called identification, and in your purse called identification, are simply that. They are joinder curses that claim that you were owned by the whore of Babylon, and that whore will beat you to death in the form of a tin badge wearing jarhead, or a really badly accessorized robed judge. Doesn't even wear the right pumps, you know. This goes beyond Hannah's here, you know. keeping it real. Now, and fun. Got to have fun while we uncover all the truth. So, what I would suggest, this is what I do, and I can open my purse right now, and here I will, because I'm just that kind of girl. Hang on. I just got to grab it. Let me grab it out. And then what do we got here? Oh, look, it's all the little picture windows are empty, and the little credit card thing holder is completely empty, and so is the rest of it. But anyway, what I do have in it, as I'm unfolding it, is it's a copy, and that's all you'll ever get. You'll never see the original, because the original contract is only in effect because your mom and dad made the deal, not you. They made the deal with the devil unknowingly. So if there's going to be any fraud cases, this is where the parents start calling the government with regards to their children. It's time to save the children, people. And it says right on it, I read this the other night, I'll read it again. Warning, a certificate is not evidence of id entity. And I say it as it should be. It's an id. You know, you ever hear of the id, the ego, the superego, all the clues?
Well, right there.
Right. So what is an entity? Oh, well, it would be some sort of, I guess, living creation, but I mean, it's only alive in the mind, right? It's not a real thing. So if you carry id entity, then you're dead. You are aiding and abetting in your own destruction. You're holding the gun to your head and you're pulling the trigger and you're going, why are you doing this to me? You got to look in the mirror, guys, and start seeing where the dishonor is. And the dishonor had to be with us because it was too obvious. I mean, come on. How many stories, bad stories have you heard about cops killing people and judges putting innocent people away and then going, oh, sorry, when they find out it is an innocent being? And look at how many innocent people are in prisons right now because they dare to have a naturally growing herb on them that apparently they're trying to. And this is how we're going to segue into what you're talking about tonight, Laura. This naturally occurring plant that grows everywhere on this planet has every cure you can imagine contained within it because it is part of our original mitochondrial DNA. And by the way, on the birth certificate, one of the points that came up today, someone said that it was their mother, only their mother's name on the birth certificate, and that's the only name they need. You see, because on mine, I'll pull it out. Actually, I've got a copy of it sitting right here. Where did I put it? I've got the ones that they mailed me. I actually photocopy them and make a bunch of copies of them. Have some fun with it. Like on mine, it has my mother's name, and right below it, it has like a cross symbol, formerly, and then her maiden name, which this is a very critical thing. You see, because when you start tying all the pieces together, the surnames, it is the family name that has you mostly trapped because those are all Crown-owned for a very long time. This goes back to Edward Longshanks. So that is the main name. Like you'll see a lot of times, they'll put lowercase, first, middle, then uppercase last. It's any joinder to the last name that really creates the problem. Because those are bloodlines, right? Those are bloodlines. But those are the father's bloodlines, which are completely ineffectual because it is the mother's mitochondrial DNA that takes the bloodline back. So if you want to know your real family line, you better follow your mother's line back. So they got you looking in every wrong direction. And here we are in a patriarchal bullshit system when the truth is it's matriarchal. You have males, the male mentality of a patriarchal trying to claim creation, and I've talked about this before on the very ethereal level of the male, and guys, sorry, hey, this is just the way it is. In terms of creation, the male is an abomination because it cannot self-procreate. And I've heard people, well, women can't. Yes, they can. It's happened many times. It's happened many times. Inside the female, all the information is there to self-procreate, and it's happened many times in history current. I mean, it's still it's a fact. It's a very rare thing, but the fact that it happened even just once, that's enough proof for me. How did someone that was a complete virgin, hymen intact, have a child? Never been with a man and gets pregnant. It happens. Google's your friend. Check it out. But there are so many layers to this. But for me, they've all been peeled, and I can look at it and I can see exactly how they've done this. It's very cunning, beautifully stunning in its efficacy. It's just an incredible game that they've got us literally, fighting to the death for a name that we don't even own. They have us claiming something, ensuring our own free will fraud. So It is now up to the individual to make their own choice via intent. And first thing you have to do is get this concept and roll it around in your universe for a little bit and debunk it. Because I certainly tried. It didn't work for me. So I want to go back to the Word of Admiralty again and just read it one more time. This is a very critical definition. Word of Admiralty, a seaman, so called because of the legal view that a seaman in contractual matters should be treated as a beneficiary and the other contracting party as a fiduciary because of the perceived inequitability of their bargaining positions. So when you go to the government with these documents and register or give away your child's divine, actually you are giving it away, divine creative feminine essence, you're also giving away all rights of the beneficiary. What you've done is you've made the state and the church and the banks the beneficiary of your fruit from your labor. And that's why they make the male the beneficiary. So it's a double duping. And it's quite intricate, but it's also quite visible for me now. I can see it clearly. So anyway, there we go. Let's get back to the plants and the fact that here we have a legal system trying to claim, higher authority than creation itself by claiming some plant that grows naturally illegal. Are you fucking shitting me? Please. Anyway.
It's ludicrous.
It is. It's complete insanity.
It really is.
They don't want you get yourself cured of cancer, do they? And many other aspects. That's the point.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yes, and we do have a big full moon tonight, so watch out for the lunacy. Right? And I think we might go a little crazy tonight, so there we go. Oh, hang on. Make sure we're still going here. Someone just said dead air. No, we're still rolling. Okay. We do have a couple of callers. I'm going to bring them in, if that's okay, and then we're going to let you fly, Laura, and just get some beautiful truth out. So I know we have Jim here, and also I have area code 703. Who we got on area code 703? Questions or comments?
Oh, hey. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Well, I'm in a room that I noticed you on.
Oh, Jim, hang on. I was actually asking area code 703. And if you've got your Skype going, can you maybe turn the beeps off? Because that's all I'm hearing is beep, 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 beep.
Yeah, that's good.
Set it to do not disturb. Just want to find out who area code 703 is and if they want to jump in with a question or comment. Because I know you will, Jim. No question. Area code 703? Any questions or comments? Okay, I'll put their mic back on hold and check in a bit later. So, anyway, yeah. Oh, I'm sure there's lots of fun, interesting information out there, Jim. Yeah, so share away.
Oops, sorry about that.
No worries.
I've been in this room on Skype, and they keep making these statements that you can't make a claim on anything. And I'm going, well, okay, well, if that's the case, well, then I can't even claim that I exist.
Well, no, you can claim that, but you can only claim it from the perspective I'm speaking of. So.
Well, I know, but they've just gone overboard, and it's like, okay, well, if I can't claim anything, then I can't claim I exist. So I can't claim that I just typed this in this room because I don't exist.
Yeah. Well, again,
and it's a circular logic, and I think they're going down the wrong road. I mean, it's like, are you kidding me? There was a claim that on the call, I think Monday night, that Santo came out and said, "Hey, these people are committing pedophilia." And then they're going, oh yeah, well, where's your evidence of that? And I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You know, I mean, it's all over the place. It's in the news. You know, I mean, we know what's happening.
Yeah, well, again, Jim, you know, the bottom line is this. Most people are so enslaved to their ego and their unwillingness to get out of their lazy boy chair to go and have a real look. They would rather sit back and be like a lot of, well, I wouldn't say a lot, but, you know, a few hosts, you know, I'm not going to throw any names out tonight, but that are more interested in their notoriety and their subject matter, and they get caught up in the celebrity aspect of star dumbness, you know. So we definitely steer away from that notion. Everyone that comes on this show is a star, quite frankly. That's how I see it. This is, again, and I keep saying it, this is your radio, this is your platform, this is your place to make your voice heard. I'm just the freak of nature pushing buttons on the other end of the board. So,
so Kate, you made a comment earlier that this is the full moon tonight. It's not. It wasn't last night.
No, it's tonight. Yeah, it's a full moon tonight.
Oh man, because I'm telling you, when I was driving home after work and I looked in the sky and I saw the moon and I was like, wow. And I stopped just to observe it because it was crystal clear. It looked like a full moon. And I mean, it was beautiful. And I just had to stop and watch. It was just incredible.
Yeah, when you get that close to full moon, like the day before, you know it's not quite a full moon. It just and then when you look at it and see it, it's beautiful, beautiful, good stuff.
Anyway, I really don't have anything at this point. You're rocking and rolling. Keep going, Kate.
Yeah, well, I mean that's pretty much the long and short of it. BC joke intended, as far as what the birth certificate really is. And no, if you try to make a claim with that name, you're committing fraud. And it's time to turn the tables of fraud against them by saying this is what your government gave me, and that's all I have. And if they choose to use it, which I know they won't, they know it's fraud, there's nothing they can do. There's no more joinder. The whore can't take you and rape you. We're gonna move over to
on that note.
Yeah, we'll move over, but we'll move over to Laura, because I really want to touch on the solutions of what we're dealing with, and
well, I have the solutions.
Well, no, you got a very big piece of the puzzle. So how about you share that big piece with everybody?
Well, one thing I discovered from being on your show a few weeks ago was I, who never shut up, never let anyone get a word in edgewise, have a horrible case of some sort of stage fright or speaking anxiety when you're on air. That's trippy. But I'm just going to get over it, and there's a couple points I wanted to put out there, and the first one was on what we spoke on the first show, the indigenous opioid deficiency. So you want me to just go with that?
Yeah, it's me unmuting. Absolutely. Let's start right at hardcore.
Well, the main point that I want to make, which I had this disease all of my life until 2 years ago. I suffered with it very, very badly. And one thing that I heard somebody on a talk show one day saying, I chose to be happy. It was Drew Barrymore. And it hit me what a statement that is, because, happiness really, truly is not a choice for somebody who has this disease. It's a physical, biological impossibility. And it it doesn't seem like it would be that. You say, well, you're in control. You can choose to do any emotion you want or refrain from. But really, feelings are chemical synapses, physical, actual things that happen, tangible things that happen in the brain. So, your character, all of those things are actions that you are doing. But anyway, my point is happiness is not a choice in that. If you have correct brain chemistry, happiness is definitely a choice. A good outlook is a choice. All of the tools that you learn along the way for, awakening, becoming a conscious person, doing these things, you're able to put them to use and then have a forward momentum. If not, you can get to a certain point. Let's say you get to that brick road, and you're there, and you're ready to cross over. It was a lot harder for you than most people, but you just can't seem to get to that step. And it's because without these peptides that you can't access, you just cannot fully awaken.
Okay, just want to bring in a layman's concept here for people.
Please.
For people that have ever seen the pictures of galaxies, and then of course pictures of neurons in the brain, you'll notice that they're very, very much identical. And what Laura is bringing to the table here is that with some people, and this is all DNA based, with some people, some of their galaxies aren't quite connected. And the happy galaxy, if you will, is the one that generally is dislodged in what Laura's talking about here. So what Laura is going to talk about is how we bridge that to get from, can't get on the yellow brick road to, because there is, your switchboard, your ether spiritual switchboard called the brain, which connects the physicality to the mind of you, the consciousness, has a couple of breakers in it that are not connected, and that is, Tony will back this one up, by design, and why a lot of our DNA has been turned off, and what have you. So what Laura's talking about is how to connect those.
Yeah, and that's it. It's there. It's the DNA, but it's just not activated. So let's say that if you're looking at it in an esoteric, ethereal sense, your soul would come to your body about 4 weeks after physical conception. And that is when, in the fetus, you have a huge flash of DMT, which is a naturally occurring substance that's in your body. It's been called the God particle, or the seed of the soul. It is supposedly how your soul would enter into this life. And if it comes into, for whatever reason, if it leaves where it is bathed in agape, and it travels down, and it comes into a hostile environment, for whatever reason, it cannot connect when it's in that womb. There is a thing called a monogene. Some women have their DNA to where the fetus would come in, and it would be able to nurture it and attach and feel attached. And then others in their DNA do not. Not necessarily saying that you couldn't be a good mother. You have to overcompensate for the lack of a natural attachment, a DNA attachment. When you're born, if you had a lot of eye contact, a lot of cooing, a lot of attention paid, you would certainly be able to develop those bonding hormones. Worst case scenarios is when your soul would come into the hostile womb and not connect, and come out to a mother that had, say, postpartum depression, which is connected, again, very much so to that mommy gene, but I won't even get into that. But so in that worst case scenario, then the mother has postpartum, the fetus didn't connect in utero. So when you come out, the mother ignores you because she has no choice. She physically can't. She's, so depressed and is not being the type of caretaker you would. So you're not getting the eye contact, or you're crying longer than you should be, or not being held enough. And this is the time when you're developing these two very, very crucial, what I call the indigenous opioids, the endorphins, oxytocin, and the endorphin. These are the two key things. These are so crucial because these are how you activate chemically your DMT. So without these forming from an attachment or being turned on in your DNA, you will go through life. Typically, the epitome of a lost soul, which is exactly what it is, because your soul is not able to connect intrinsically to anything.
And I would hazard to say that a vast majority of people would have that to a either greater or lesser extent, depending on the damage that's been done.
Most definitely.
Yeah, what are the two items again?
It's oxytocin, which is a mammalian bonding chemical that mothers produce, hopefully, and pass, during gestation on to the fetus and to the offspring. And the other is beta endorphin. It's in the endorphin family. So these are, it gets confusing because of 3 different names for them, but they are your indigenous opioids. So this is such a common, the thing that I want to stress is this is so common. Probably in 80% of any anxiety, mood disorder, behavioral manifestation is, let's say, here's the one that I do the most work with. It's a disease called borderline personality disorder. What this is a non-existent deficiency of these 2 very, very crucial peptides that cause you to not be able to connect intrinsically to anything self, to your soul, to your authenticness, to your self-identity. So anything that you're going to get any attachment to is going to come externally, right? So one of the in the DSM, one of the characteristics is you're a love addict. Well, of course, I mentioned that in the last show. That what's the quickest way to boost what little endorphins you have? You would fall in love.
I have a question.
Sure.
Part question, part statement. This would probably explain to a lesser or greater degree the amount of attachment people have to the physical world, in that it's the only one that they can sense beyond.
100%. That's exactly it. That's the nail on the head. That's why people with these disorders can't be alone. And the flip of that, the horrible cruelty of that, is once you get to a certain stage in this, you can do nothing but be alone, because you will isolate and you will have avoidance. Those are physical, tangible manifestations of the chemical synapses in your brain. But yes, you can't attach to anything intrinsically, so you have to attach outwardly. And when that let's say that person or that substance leaves your realm, you're left alone again. So of course you would, if this borderline diagnosis, you get the, you're a needy person, or you're emotionally unstable because you demand all of their time. Well, in essence, you have to, because as soon as that leaves, you don't have the external source of boosting those endorphins, and you are left again unable to you're lost. So you're living vicariously through, whether it's eating disorder or moving a lot or any kind of drama or any attachment on an external level is what you're living on. And it is a tragic, devastating way to live, because inside that something's wrong, and that's the worst kind of wrong. If somebody says to you, "Oh, what a lost soul," well, no, but who wants to be that? It's tragic, and the sad thing about it is such an easy thing to fix. But I never thought of this in a way of a conspiracy theory. I knew that the pharmaceutical industry, for their own greed reasons, had kept this information out, because endorphins, these were discovered in the 70s. The information went underground very shortly after that, and you didn't even hear the word endorphin. Now the only time you hear it is in regard to exercise. People think you can just go run and get endorphins, So the fact that it was intentionally covered up because they knew what this did. I honestly do believe, with the information I have now, that they were intentionally trying to keep people from waking up, to being able to access their God consciousness.
Well, that totally makes sense, based on the planet we have around us, based on the structural control mechanism. And,
right.
And the level of slavery. I mean, the best way to keep a population in control is to keep them ignorant and keep them in fear. And they're using all other manners of method, such as literally changing our DNA by genetically modifying the foods. And as I was talking to Lynette yesterday on a show with Critical Mass Online, the main station. And what she was discussing was that Monsanto, for example, has been around since 1909, modifying our DNA. And absolutely, and I want Tony to jump on this too, as far as the DNA is concerned. I mean, I've had my own revelations with DNA with regards to the 250 genomes that are alien to this planet. This is such a simple thing, what you're talking about, and the answer has to be simple.
It's the most basic, most simple. And look, they were doing frontal lobotomies, in the 50s. You're definitely not going to ever access your Christ consciousness that way, because they're ripping your soul right out of you. Well, when they could no longer do frontal lobotomies, what are they going to do?
Well, they do it chemically. It's like chemical sterilization and what have you. If they can't do it physically, they'll do it chemically, so it gets more and more hidden as we expose more and more truth. So this totally makes sense.
This whole monoamine hypothesis is bullshit.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Quick question here from Ron. Kate, is it something significant when a mother gives the child to the father for calming?
Any calming is significant.
Well, and it creates a bonding too. Right?
Yeah, anything to soothe. So that there is some kind of contact. Yeah, the worst thing that ever happened was when the psychology came out of let the child cry. I guess it was in the 80s and 90s. They said it's best just to leave the child in the crib and let it, cry. Don't pick it up. Don't spoil the child or whichever. It is the most ridiculous, ludicrous, backwards thing, and it's the quickest way to have a dysfunctional human being that you can possibly have. And so, yeah, if the mother wasn't able to give the nurturing, please give it to the father. Please give it, to your mom, anybody in the family that can do it. It doesn't have to be a maternal bond. That's where the DNA would be turned on, hopefully in utero, if everything went as planned in nature. But look at the world that we live in today and how rarely that's going to happen.
Yeah, it's been corrupted to such a level. We talk about Planned Parenthood and all the rest of the shit that goes on around that. And they mean it. With Planned Parenthood, they want you having the kids that they want you to have based on their design, not your own. And this is critical information. And I will say one of the joys I had with my daughters was, they would go literally fall asleep on my chest to the heartbeat, and just pure heaven, pure bliss.
It is, because it's the natural rhythm and flow of love and attachment. And one of the things that traumatized me the most in my life, I watched a program on Czechoslovakian orphanages. And they would take these children that had any type of deformity when they were born, and they would put them in this prison some creepy-looking monastery building up on the hill, which looked like an old psych ward. And they would put these, deformed children from birth in there, and they wouldn't touch them, and they wouldn't have any interaction with them, and they'd put them in these crib-type prisons, and they were there. That was it. And these children weren't growing. They'd be 7 years old, and they were the size of a 3-year-old or a 2-year-old. And I mean, can you imagine a more tragic, horrible thing to do to a soul? It's just unimaginable.
Exactly. And a couple of things I want to bring up, because I've already been hit with a few questions regarding it. I'm thinking that if anybody has any court issues, I think the first matter that needs to be solved is clearing the name as far as the fraud. I have no problems continuing with this, but first we have to address the fraud that was perpetrated on my parents, where they were not given full disclosure as to what they were doing with this name that I cannot use, because if I did, I'd be committing fraud. So before we move any further on any case here, I need to clear that up first. the non-disclosure and fraud that was, committed against my parents. As soon as we're talking family here, let's get right down to the nitty-gritty. Because as soon as you start asking these kinds of questions and making the statements that it's fraud and it was perpetrated on the mom and dad, just like they've done with our DNA, you got to remember this has been a complete attack on the family at all levels. They've done everything in their power to tear us apart, tear our communities apart, make us so compartmentalized in exactly the same way that Laura's talking, where an individual that hasn't got the tools, deliberately been programmed out of the DNA, chemically or whatever they've done. This is where we got to start pulling back, and we are. This is what I'm seeing is our communities are finally pulling back together and standing as one. And for me, this is a healing on a consciousness level of exactly what you're talking about. So carry on, Laura. Rock and roll.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, it is. And hold on, just give me 1 second again.
Well, I was going to say I have one more question for you, if you want.
Sure, that'd be great.
And hello, Nadawa. Nice to see you. I'm doing fine, thank you. Kate, question for Laura. What happens if the child is born premature? How would that affect things?
Doesn't honestly, that I've not looked into the research on that. I don't.
Well, I mean,
it's not so much. Yeah, it's not. I don't know that would have a big effect. It would have some effect because the child would be in an incubation type thing, and it wouldn't have the hands-on care. But I have a niece who was born premature, and there are many children that are, and I don't think it's. I'm sure that it does. It has to in some way have an effect, but it can be overcompensated. There's neuroplasticity in the brain. It just depends on how much you can make up for that lack of initial contact. I don't want to scare anyone out there. I don't want to.
Oh no, this is most certainly not fear porn. What this is starting to show people what happened, when, where, why, how, and what, and this is what we need to have. One, we've had elements of our DNA turned off, be it chemically or surgically, prefrontals, through our genetically modified organisms, through chemtrails, through whatever matter. And I mean, Tony could list off anything as long as his arm there, but just the methods that they've done to do that. So this is not about fear. Really, the only thing anyone should fear is ignorance. And I'll tell you that the ego program that runs in many people has them defending that ignorance because they are in fear. So we're trying to turn this around so that we're now giving everyone power, returning their true power by giving them the knowledge that has been kept from us, by giving people, listen, if I'm walking down a railway track and I'm deaf, dumb, and blind, and I don't see the train or whatever coming right at me, I would certainly hope that someone would take me off those tracks. And that's all we're trying to do, is we're telling you there's a train there that's going to hit you, and can you please have enough compassion for yourself to say, well, you know what, I'm going to shut up for a second. I did this most of my life. That's why I talk so much now. Just shut up for a second, and instead of trying to come up with the next clever statement you're going to regurgitate from someone else's concepts to make yourself look incredibly clever in front of someone. I tell you, I love shredding that. That's fun. But we just have to listen. We just have to learn to listen, and that's all we're trying to do here, Laura, is give people that ability to have the tools, the knowledge. And
I would assume that it would in some way, if the child is born premature, in some small way. It depends on mitigating circumstances. That we don't know how much was there bonding in utero, how long was how premature was the child. And if the child is immediately loved, no matter how long it's in there, and if it is not emotionally neglected, and if it is, given the sustenance that it needs on an emotional level, the love, then it's going to be okay. And the basic point of all of this, and this could go on 15 different trajectories of the damage that's done to your brain and to your soul, is it's love. Period. Straight out, this is a lack of love, a lack of attachment. And if you look at things from a spiritual, esoterical source, God, whatever sense you want to call it, that is the only thing that we are here for.
Yeah.
So you've got the Alpha and the Omega right there.
And what conquers all? And why would they want to take it away?
Yeah. That was a huge realization, Kate and Tony, with me, over the past 3 weeks, because my head has been in the science of this, and my head's been in the anger of this, and what they, such crimes against humanity. The whole psychiatric industry, you guys, has everybody duped, completely duped. I went through 46 years of hell. I tried every medicine they had. I bought into I was a screwed up person, behaviorally thing they had. I just bought into all of it. And I knew that the only time I ever felt normal was when I took an opiate. And it wasn't a matter of days, weeks. It was an hour. And what it is, as I said on the last show, we were not designed to ruminate in emotional pain any more than we were physical pain. If that were the case, then we would be on the psych's couch because of childbirth 20 years later going, oh, God, that damn childbirth. And it's not the case. You go through the ebb and flow of life, and you go through emotional things and painful things, but you're okay. That's what most people do. People that had a secure, attached, emotionally stable life had that. They developed these peptides. It has nothing to do with freaking behavior. And you can take a lifetime of ill behavior or bad character or it was never corrupt intent. I'll guarantee you that with anybody with these diseases, especially a depression, anxiety. You have much too much empathy. You come from a place of learned helplessness, so you're physically coming from a place of learned helplessness because you physically can't take care of yourself or responsibility for yourself because you don't know what yourself is. You can't attach to it. So I just lost my thought there. Kate, help me.
Oh, that's no problem. I'm going back to Catalin and what she was saying. Her question was with regards to the premature. It was 69 days in the natal intensive care unit, and she could only spend 12 hours a day with them. Now, I will bet, based on what I already know of Catalin, that she more than made up for that after the fact. And this is the thing. The only limitations that we have are the ones we place upon ourselves. There are so many analogies I can go to here to explain that.
Let me put it this way.
Yeah.
Let's say the damage was done, right? There's damage done. All she's got to do is get these two peptides into the damaged individual, and they will be fine from that moment forward. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and these peptides are, we're going hardball here tonight, guys.
Well, the only way to get these now, because of the DEA and Richard Nixon in cahoots with NIMH, which is your government-funded mental health care or NIH healthcare, is through an opiate. Now, opiate is the dirtiest damn word next to borderline personality. So imagine my fight trying to validate borderline personality not existing and it being treated by opiates. They make synthetic opiates. You're going to build up a tolerance to them much quicker on purpose. You're going to become so-called addicted. You have to quantify what addictive is. Is a diabetic addicted to insulin? I don't think so. Is somebody with hypertension addicted to high blood pressure medicine? No. So if this is something that you put into your system that makes you a normal functional person, that keeps your brain from destroying itself from neurotoxicity, because the chemical mechanism from not having these modulate your stress hormones as well. These are crucial. These are your God particles. The DMT is the grand poobah. Beta indigenous opioids are the baby God particles. It's the trifecta. So you're going to have a rampant adrenal system. You're going to be in fight or flight mode, hence your behaviors. And eventually you're going to go into severe depression, severe anxiety, avoidance behavior, isolation, and nobody wants to isolate. Any depressed person out there, you guys know, as soon as you go to your therapist meeting and you're talking to them or your group, you're okay because you're around people and you say, oh, I won't isolate. next time it happens, I'll call. And you truly believe that you'll call, but you're not going to call. And it's going to happen every time because you're physically unable to. And that's why I posted, avoidance and isolation are chemical, tangible mechanisms of a dynorphin, KOR receptor pattern. That I won't even get into, but it's very easily stopped. And if you were to take what Kate and Tony were saying earlier, if you took Big Pharma out of this, or any pharmaceutical medical orthodoxy, and you went with Eastern medicines and energy work and nutrition, what has been practiced before the 50 years now, we've only had 50 years of Big Pharma, guys. Well, really, 25 of big Pharma. So what did we do the rest of our lives before I went to my doctor and he said, oh, you're low on potassium, let me give you a pill. I said, can I eat a banana a day? Oh, well, that would work. Maybe, it really is just crazy, and it's intentional and it's duplicitous. And what happens is you have your three systems. You have your indigenous opioid system. You have your nervous system. You have your excuse me. You have your central nervous system, you have your monoamine system, and you have your opioid system. These are central functional systems to your body. And anything that you need in this system grows in nature. You have your your fourth is your cannabinoid system, which is your I'm sorry, I can't pronounce it.
Cannabinoids.
Thank you, cannabinoids.
Oh, and while we're on that, I just, because I'm getting all the chat going on here, so this is beautiful, everyone's getting this. Something else I do want to address about the cannabinoids. The best way to get those is to ingest them through a hemp oil that is refined, and there are elements within the cannabinoids that actually complete a section within each of your brain neurons. All right.
I got to bring up something real quick before I forget. Kate, remember your thought because you're better. Anybody with this disease is going to be THC intolerant. So a very good indicator of having this disease is if somebody blew you a shotgun, it would be a psychological torture trip for about an hour. You will become extremely paranoid, and it's not a good time. Very, very key indicator because these systems work together and they're natural systems. For whatever reason, you are THC intolerant. That's the DOR-KOR mechanism I was talking about. Just put that out there.
Question then, and again, question statement at the same time. Then, with that being said, it logically makes sense that those that do get paranoid and that's the big joke about a lot of times when people, smoke up or whatever, they get paranoid, and some people get really happy, and some people, I think that would be a good indicator, as depending on the level of paranoia you suffer from, as to how little or how much your opiate a system is working.
Great indicator. I mean, there's certain strains, I'm sure, that, produce like, different jack straw, or, certain, one has sativa, more cannabis, you're going to get a different buzz. But if you're getting an extremely paranoid, not good high, then you are lacking endorphins. If you're a female and you have premenstrual dysphoric disorder, not PMS, but severe dysphoric disorder to where it's like bipolar. You have 2 good weeks and 2 extremely bad weeks to where it hinders your life. You're lacking these beta endorphins. They interact with your estrogen and progesterone. If you have postpartum, if you have bulimia and anorexia, huge ways to calorie restriction, boost endorphins. Binging, boost endorphins. Give me any DSM in a mood disorder, and it's pretty much endorphin based.
Yeah. So what you're saying, in a nutshell, is when you have the right levels of opiates, and your body will know what it needs, it'll bring these systems back into balance, where they can start communicating with each other. You can get your galaxies joined up, and the yellow brick roads head everywhere.
That's it. That's it. Yeah. Perfectly. I've been able to have access to Suboxone, which to me is just a godsend because, number one, you don't have to defend yourself. You're never going to get high. It's impossible. It's buprenorphine. You're not able to get high off of it. But what it does brilliantly, and this is what anybody, I would give them the information to take this to your doctor. Buprenorphine blocks the KOR receptor. That's why you have instant relief. The kappa receptor, and it puts a blocker up, so you don't get that dynorphin, you don't get the DOR, KOR, avoidance, anxiety, all the evil shit. Excuse me. It's that mechanism. So.
No, exactly, and I've had a number of discussions with you on this, especially talking about KOR inhibitors, and maybe just for the people listening, give an outline of how these things interact with each other, and what the effects are.
Well, you have no effect. All it does is it puts in what you're lacking. It puts in the mu and u receptors. You're going to have your beta endorphins, your oxytocin. It's going to be feeding through those. It's going to be a normal process, but you're not going to have any kind of euphoria because that's going to be blocked. And the KOR blockage, what they initially put in to stop euphoria, which God forbid we have euphoria, guys. That would be horrible, wouldn't it? But anyway.
Yeah. So in short, it lets you buy without the high. So that's
exactly. Cool. So nobody can accuse you if you're trying to seek Suboxone of having drug-seeking behavior, which they make it so hard to get this medicine. There are no side effects. There are no sexual side effects. There are nothing. It's a wonderful, brilliant. I've had access to it for 2 years. I've had 2 years of the same consistency of mood every day, same ability to maintain any level of forward progression. I've been able to access it saved my life. I've been dead. And that's what's so tragic about it.
Well, here, I just had a comment come in from Shahida, just to put it out there. Thank you, and hello everybody. That's what I love about this, operating in real time. I try to get back and forth from the Skype rooms and the Facebook posts, and of course I post it everywhere, so I'm answering about a dozen every minute. But here's a comment from Shahida, just to put out there. Yeah, I love it. An opioid is a psychoactive chemical that works by binding to the opioid receptors, which are found principally in the central and peripheral nervous system and the gastrointestinal tract. The receptors in these organ systems mediate both the beneficial effects and the side effects of opioids. And what I wanted to carry on there with is what Karen Ann McDonald brought up the other night with regards to the gastrointestinal tract, where we have all this garbage, gunk, and poo in our intestines that are actually blocking organs, because every part of the intestine is attached to an organ. And I see all of this just coming together in this one beautiful. It's a oneness of I can't even describe it. It's beautiful.
And it scares to the lack, because you've got so many people in prison or in just so many societal ills are caused from scarcity and lack of love at first, and then of access to an opiate, which, contrary to popular opinion, I know very functional people who are on heroin who use it judiciously as their medicine for this. That would probably be the best be-all, end-all. If you could get the purest poppy form of that, use it tablet sublingually very judiciously, 2 or 3 times a day, just to keep your balance there. That would be the best way to do it.
Naturally, of course.
Of course. And then you could go completely naturally. You could do it. The sad thing about it is, by the time most people, well, Mindy McCready didn't get there. She blew her brains out and killed her dog before that. She was a textbook case of this, and it's there's one trajectory for this disease. If you can't access yourself or your soul, you will die. And you'd want to be dead, because what's the point in living if you're living a miserable existence? I mean, you literally can get no enjoyment from anything. Nothing. You can't listen to music. You can't, and it's degenerative. You have a certain amount, a little bit of opiates, opioids. Sorry, opiate. The T is external. Oid is the internal. So they're going to run out. They run out. So you get to your 30s, 40s, and it's, oh God, it's
you're running on empty at that point.
You're living in hell.
Laura.
Yeah.
Just on this note, I mean, if people understood that information and they coupled that with natural vitamins, minerals, and nutrients, and clean food, clean water, then inserted into that cell salts and electrolytes, and then over and above that rebalance their energetic system by grounding, and also took into account some information on anger, fear, frustration, that I actually already sent you on your Skype list there. There's a whole list of how jealousy, vengefulness, inability to find solutions, lacking moral principles, being too categorical, etc., all cause various other diseases. The diseases are the manifestations of the imbalances. So if we just understood all of this together, and the energy
what
medicine,
you're saying is that exactly.
And the energy medicine aspect itself was addressed within meridians of the energy. We took into account, especially the the essential oils that can cross the blood-brain barrier. I mean, my God, you've got a complete system there. Is
that what Karen was talking about, right?
Well,
in a roundabout way, yeah.
Future of medicine.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a complete health system there. There's nothing there that's going to get you. You're completely sorted once you've got all that covered. It's incredible.
Tony, that's it. Exactly. And you have to, by the time you get this sorted out with the government that we have and the greed that we have and the corrupt intent to kill you, that you have your brain is so damaged. I'm on early Alzheimer's medicine because my hippocampus, which is what's affected from the glucocorticoids, the cortisol, is a third gone. It's the most neurotoxic thing you could do is have it running rampant in your body. So then you have to go into protective mode, and you have to take what we had talked about, Kate and Tony, the glutathione and the N-acetylcysteine and the heavy aminos. But what Tony said, we have to have clean food, clean water, clean energy, physical energy.
Cell salts, oils, and these sort of things, electrolytes and stuff like this. And, we have energy meridians within us. I mean, every neuron that fires off in your brain, it's a bioelectrical signal, and those signals create emotions and feelings. And, again, we're bioelectrical computers. The fact of the matter is you need to put the stuff into the computers to make it work.
Yeah, and again, it's about making those connections again that have been literally and figuratively erased based on the poisonings that we've been undergoing for the last century or more.
Oh, and that's when I talk about the inner city kids, because can you just imagine what somebody who who's 25 years old that had no access to anything, like, let's say that you're poor in this country, because 90% of us are poor in this country. And we don't have fresh food at food shelters and, school programs and such, so we're not getting any sort of nutrition to our brains. Nothing is going to our brains. And nobody tells you. Nobody even mentions it.
It could not happen by accident, and it's not happening by accident.
No.
It's all deliberate.
No, they know what they're... Tony, I believe they know what they're doing. I truly believe this is intentionally trying to keep people from waking up. I told Kate that over 2 weeks ago when it started.
And that all makes sense. Plus... go ahead, Tony.
It's not about belief, it's about knowing. That's the point. We don't believe that they're doing it deliberately. We know they're doing it deliberately.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not believing at all, It's gone so far beyond. Well, we're in the age of Aquarius now, so now we, instead of saying age of Pisces, I believe, now we say I know. This is not about having second thoughts anymore. The proof is there. We've seen it.
Anybody out there sitting in an NA meeting, okay, being told, if you know that you have this disease, if you know it's the only thing that makes you feel normal, if you know your intention is not to get high, okay, they're telling you that you're wrong and weak and bad for doing the one thing that will save you. And the synthetic opiates that the government has produced and the pharmaceutical companies, just like Effexor or any psychotropic drug, will be bad for you in some way.
Yeah, side effects, and that's by design. Again, they're literally feeding you the poison, telling you it'll heal you. And while it gives you some semblance of comfort from the symptoms, it's in there with a chainsaw doing even more damage.
And they treated melancholia with opiates until 1958, I guess, when NIH came. It was the first line of defense. It was laudanum. If you were, they called it melancholia or black dog or depressed or whichever. That's how they treated it.
Yeah, melancholy, lack of melanin.
Yeah. There you go, wordsmith.
Well, it's like you said. What was that? Nasal cysteine. I went right to the Sistine Chapel on that one. What's the tie-in there? Because everything ties into everything, and it's just a matter of connecting all these little galaxies. And this ties into keeping people fighting all the time with their names, keeping them in dishonor and downtrodden on a physical level. And what we're doing here is taking it up to a higher level. We've got about 35 minutes. I do want to touch on certain other elements like ayahuasca and psilocybin and those other naturally occurring beautiful God particle awakening tools that we have on this planet, used responsibly and when you're ready.
Yeah, just before you...
Yeah, that's the only thing. I want to let you run with that, but that's the only thing I can put in there is you have got to be at a certain ascension level before you could do that. So, we got to get these kids that if they don't have an attachment, and there are very basic, easy questions to ask. All you have to do on somebody who is my age is run their cortisol. Mine's 11 times what it should be. There you go. Do a blood test, people. So I'm going to let you do the ayahuasca.
Well, Tony had a comment there, so run with it, Tony.
I was just going to say one of the other things that they've gone to excess with poisoning is the metals, the barium, strontium, aluminium, cadmium. We're drinking out of tin cans all the time. We've got polyphenol, a whole massive list of chemicals that are coming into us. But there are certain things like silica that you can take that will actually draw those chemicals out of the body. And especially with oils as well, and a whole raft of different oils for different things. But the metals is another area where we need to cleanse the body of those metals. Let alone the enzymes, the gut flora, and other things that we can do. Just wanted to throw those in there because they are important,
Yeah, Tony, it's so important. It's crucial. It's all together. It's all one. You have to look at the body from the basic chemical structures that it is, and it's in tune with Earth, and and all of these things that they're putting into Mercury and everything is. Listen to what Tony's saying because he's got it on the money.
Cheers. Do by yourself, Laura.
Yeah, well, again, it is about knowledge, and I want to keep it at grassroots here. If you're walking around drinking out of a tin can, you are poisoning yourself with aluminum. If you're cooking in aluminum pots or Teflon or anything like that, you are poisoning yourself. And of course, you've all heard the story with Santo recently with Teflon poisoning, and I've known him a few times to be literally taken out, for a couple of weeks at a time. And it finally twigged on what it was, and these are the things we have to start looking around the kitchen. I mean, stuff that you have underneath the sink, bleach and all these other toxins that are, and they're evaporating, guys. the home you live in is probably the most toxic environment you could ever imagine.
Yeah, anything they make is intentionally
Exactly. This is the point. I can't hear anybody talking, so I'm not sure if they
things
are.
in it intentionally.
I'm not sure. You're breaking up, Laura. Can you? Oh, she dropped off. Can you hear me, Tony?
Yeah, I can hear you, and that's a very good point you mentioned. Let me just run through a few of the things in the household that are actually poisoning us.
Yeah, go for it.
Purely for people's awareness. I mean, there's washing up liquid. One of the biggest things is washing up liquid, because what happens is the liquid coats itself onto the plates, etc. And when you eat your dinner off the plates the next time, you're absorbing all of the nasty stuff that's in there. There's too much to mention in there, don't it? I couldn't even try and explain some of the chemical crap that's in washing up liquid. Also, your plastic, when you've got shrink-wrapped meat, you've got biphenol, you've got bleaches, there's all different aspects of chemical crap that's on the actual shrink wrapping that goes with the food. Even the vegetables that you buy in the supermarkets now, not only are they waxed to a great degree, but they're also sprayed with pesticides and all sorts of other stuff there. The bleaches, all the time that we're pouring bleaches down the toilet to clean out the toilet, yeah, we might be killing a few bugs and stuff, but all of that's going straight into the water recycling system. So that's coming back out in your tap water. All the chemicals that we're flushing down the drain are also getting recycled, basically, in your drinking and then your cup of coffee in the morning. The biphenol in the plastics is something else you could look out for, you know? And there's all sorts of different aspects of it, let alone the chemical shaping back and stuff that you're using on your chemicals. You've got to realise that the people that are running this program own all of the big companies that produce the chemical cleaners and the chemical stuffs that you use within your body.
Procter and Gamble, especially.
Well, all of them. It's not just Procter and Gamble. You can't say that. It's everywhere.
No.
Yeah, exactly. You know, they're required to put, and whether they do or not completely, they're required to put the ingredients of what it is you're eating, but they're not required to tell you the ingredients that are in the packaging that are leaching into the foods that you're buying at the processed food grocery stores. It's time to get back to natural eating, guys. Being completely aware of the things that you are eating, and I know it's a very difficult road. And I will speak strictly from experience, and it's only out of necessity. You know, basics, like I'm talking staying alive necessity, and that's where I've been at for a while. So I'm very limited in what I can do, but I tell you, when I do get my hands on all the fresh and good stuff, that's where it's at for me.
If people have got a cold water tank, they can drop some, charcoal in the cold water tank, which will help absorb all the fluoride.
Okay, we lost you. Tony, you're really breaking up. Your mic's kicking out. Maybe check the range of it, but go over that last sentence again.
I was just saying people can drop a piece of charcoal into their cold water tank and do some simple things to actually change this. Yeah,
charcoal is a beautiful cleanser. You know, listen, I had fish tanks, and that was one of the key elements to keep that water pure, charcoal-activated filters.
Yeah, absolutely. It's only a case of being aware of these things in the first place, and you can do simple things to address it. You know, run your dishes under the hot water tap before you eat off them next time after you wash them up. You know, use a lemon dishwashing solution or an eco-friendly dishwasher and check out the ingredients. You know, chuck the microwave out the window for a start. They're simple things, but you've just got to be aware of them.
Yeah, microwave is a perfect tool of altering the DNA of the food you're eating. So not only are you eating genetically modified, you put it in a microwave and you modify it even further, and you are what you eat. So if you're wondering why things aren't, copacetic in your universe, well, you might want to look there. I did have a comment from Brian I wanted to share with you, Laura. I've been on Suboxone for over a year now because of a really bad opiate habit, and I found my moods and just everything in general have been way better. I showed my addiction doctor the site Prohibition Kills, and he loved it. and also said that I probably have the deficiency that the site speaks about. So thanks again for the great info. Thank you, Brian. Much obliged. And we do this together, guys. This is how we get the knowledge out. We share, 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 share. This is called gifting on the highest level. So let's keep this fire going. The iron's hot. We strike.
Just before we change the subject, Kate, I do need to point out lots and lots and lots of the information I'm talking about now is already in book form in book 2 of Blueprints of Cosmic Consciousness. It's there. I did it years ago.
Yep. So more to share there. You can get that on Syncrenicity.com. That's SYNCRENICITY.com, or you can go direct to Tony's webpage, which is awakeconsciousawareness.com. 3 words, all spelled the way they should be. awakeconsciousawareness.com. It's a free download there, and I have to say thank you again. I'll be saying this every night for a while to all those of you that chipped in, some in rather incredible, overwhelming ways, to help out myself, Tony, and Santo, and another, of course. And the appreciation, it's like here we are in the hill. Now we just got handed some boxes of ammo, and here we are firing off on the high frequencies. And this is, a lot of that stress. Yeah, when that stress gets alleviated, when that total, I don't know where my next meal is coming from, and I got to get on the air. When that's alleviated, now I can stay focused on, eyes on the prize, and let's get this knowledge out. Let's get it shared. Because I'm hoping that every night we share something, it will give you something to work with, and in that net result, you will have a better existence. So that's how we're doing this. We share this, and this is how we're building the consciousness. This is how we're raising it. We're not buying the bullshit of this system anymore. We're not so apt to sleep with the whore of Babylon, especially after, who knows how many were there first, Lose the mark of the beast, and this is all part of this. And it was a joy to read what Brian just posted there, and the fact that he shared it with his doctor, and his doctor was excited about it. Because we have to educate those within. They have been duped worse than us. We are actually freer than any of those that are walking around trying to enforce things and trying to, write prescripts out for, what Big Pharma trained them in their Big Pharma-owned schools to sell their Big Pharma products in the billions and billions of dollars every year, literally killing and poisoning people. Nothing kills more people every year in the United States than the medical profession. So much for your Hippocratic Oath, guys. You might want to reevaluate what it is you're doing, because I'll tell you, when you're subscribing any of these bastard drugs, you are actually harming someone, and you are hurting your own karma. You are breaking divine, cosmic, universal law, and that pendulum is it's already swinging back, and I'm seeing the results of it. So yep. This is where we need to manifest the positive, and we stay the course, guys. I see all your flagships from here. These are not ships of the line we're on anymore. We are flying the flagships, all of us, and we have the system on the run, and it's coming down. They might want to throw the fear porn out of, the banks are going to collapse, and we don't want that. That's the one they were saying that. What's that, Tony?
I said the banks have to collapse.
Oh yeah. We have to get rid of it in order to get back to our natural state of gifting and living as community. And this is where you.
101.
What's that?
Make everybody take Alan Watts 101.
Oh, I love Alan. Yeah, great stuff. Now, we are making the difference, guys. It is there. I'm seeing it every day, and it is getting exponential. It has been for a little while here. So I want to throw my humble gratitude out to you, because my universe changes because I'm part of you. Your consciousness is me. We're all one. And when one can change their own consciousness, they're actually affecting all of humanity. And the more of us that get this energy building, this higher frequency song that we're singing, the more we'll join in. Nature abhors a vacuum. Get the notes high. Let's get it up there. And then by default, those that are not quite awakened will awaken as a direct result. And you're probably seeing that with people around you that were talking to you before about, well, I don't believe that. And, as Mark Passio says, truth doesn't require your belief. but you're probably seeing people that you didn't think would ever awaken starting to ask questions. This is proof of the law of dominant frequency, the law of resonance. And they've been keeping us down with fear porn. And, of course, there are so many of us now that just laugh at it. Yeah, okay, nice try. Because as soon as it comes into my reality, it is completely discombobulated. It is shredded to the core for the joke that it is. Sorry, you can't scare me. Maybe a number of years ago when I thought I was a meat stick with a spirit thing going on, now it's a different thing. Now I am the ye are God's spirit in that compassionate love going, yeah, the meat stick, no problem. Got to have a tool to play with while you're here. And look at us go. Look at us go.
Absolutely. And again, I'd like to just finish off on that particular one. You're spot on everything you just said. But again, even the people that are imposing this system don't realise the damage that they're doing to maybe even their own children by vaccinating and by following the bullshit, basically. You know, and they're perpetuating it on their own kids unless they're prepared to listen. So stop enforcing the bullshit, will you? You know?
Excuse me. Oh, I couldn't agree more. Oh, did I get bumped, or can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's fine.
Okay, I'm thinking that Laura might have got bumped there. 1 sec. Just cracking. Computer's all getting weird on me here. It's only a notebook. I keep calling it a computer, and it's really just a little notebook. And I do believe we have... Karen, or Laura, are you still there? And I'm supposed to tell you, Brian, that you have a great doctor, so well done. I'm not sure what's going on with Laura. Her picture's still there, but no sound that I can tell. But yeah, absolutely. You know, guys, these are the end days. These are the end times, and it's going to be entirely up to you to get your frequency high enough, because in doing that, you're going to save others anyway by default.
Totally.
You know?
I mean, let's explain to people, I mean, the 100th monkey effect is kicking off. At the center of your body is your heart, and that's the singularity within your energy field. So if you change your heart and you begin to resonate with the truth, okay, everybody around you is going to start resonating at the same frequency. To a degree, there are people that are actually so closed down that they can't, get it. They're completely shut down. But the point is, all of our fields interact. So it's like lights clicking on one at a time, and there are lights flicking on all over the planet right now. And that field is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and there's more people joining that conscious revolution.
Well, they don't have a choice.
No, they don't.
They don't. I mean, this is the thing. If you're going to play in the playground here, you play by its rules, and consciousness rules it here. And there are those that have made it their rules to keep everybody downtrodden and in fear, and peons and shit-ons for, millennia, countless millennia. And what's happening now is the consciousness of humanity has finally had enough. We've had enough of killing each other to make a banker rich. We've had enough of poisoning each other to make an extra dollar. And what Tony's talking about is absolute truth. Those on the inside that are the sleepiest of all are going to be the hardest to awaken, but the simple fact is, when I see things like what Brian just wrote, that is, to me, absolute proof that the consciousness is getting right in there, and they don't have a choice. No one has a choice in consciousness, because truth and love conquers all. That is the fundamental of this universe, because evil, by definition, must destroy itself, and creation will not destroy itself. It can't, because that would be dumb.
Why can't?
It's dumb. It just doesn't make any sense at all. So actually, I think Laura's trying to get back on here. So you can still hear me, okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Yes, and it's Laura Ann Woldridge that you're listening to. I just caught a little note from Mary. Here we go again. I might have to call back. Tony, you got the helm?
Yeah, I've got it.
All right, I'll end this call, and maybe there you go. I see. When you tell them that you already know what's going on, they stop messing around. We had that happen with Brett Stillings the one night, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. That major firework display that went up there, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, there you go.
Was it something to do with releasing the information about all the railway lines and the oil rigs and the buildings all being tied into the heart frequencies, which are all laid out on the energy meridians of the Earth so that they can affect the consciousness of the Earth herself?
Oh, exactly. And, yeah, they're still bouncing Laura around. I should mention everyone listening, and I'm not sure Laura, she'll catch it on the archive, I'm sure. This is one of the things that just proves to us that we are getting the right word out, because I don't know, maybe I'll get some feedback on this. Have you ever tuned into a show that's been hacked and shaken up as much in your life? I've never had this experience listening to other shows. I've never seen this happen on an Alex Jones show. You know?
Yeah.
So that might tell you something. So there you go. Yeah, it sounded like fireworks. Brain cells being relit is exactly right, Mary. Awesome. And Mary just mentions that she got a hold of Laura's chart, and I will urge anyone that's on Facebook to get into Mama Mary's astrology room with her and Cole and Jeanette and so many others. Oh my God, you guys are amazing. You want to know about you in a real big hurry? Yeah, well, there you go. That's exactly what happens. And I'm still waiting to hear if we're going to get Laura back on. I'm still trying to dial her up, so she must have internet issues on her end with a little hack fest going on. But big shout out to hey Donna, hey Sylvia. Let's go up the list here. Catalin, yes, I love olive green. Hunter green, olive green. I love all those colors. They're beautiful. Of course, I know Otis is listening. Otis is oh man, beyond family. Thank you so much. You've been there for so long, and just every show, and what a trooper. There's someone that's wide awake. Yeah, everyone, you know, the fact that you're tuned in to me tells me one thing. You're tuned in, and that's pretty cool. Take the win. You know. No, it's just a beautiful thing to behold. I mean, excuse me. Excuse me. I wish people could see what I see in the gathering of all these angels, and they're coming in droves, and they're coming in armed to the teeth with knowledge, and everyone can cross-reference everyone, and the unity is incredible. Sorry, system, you're done. You are long done. Just keep in the archives that little lightning strike on the Vatican on February 11th. By the way, for those that haven't heard, that was the first anniversary of the day they SWAT raided my home and stole it from me. You know, so no, I didn't scare them at all. Eh, Tony? How about you?
Well, this is the point, you know. That's why they tried to screw up the book by changing all the links before I released it, you know. It took me like 3 weeks to sort it out afterwards, once they got their hands on it. But fuck them, there you go.
Yeah, I know, totally. And this is the other reason why I really enjoy the open forums. And Jim, are you still on the call here, bud?
I'm listening in.
Okay, no, I was kind of wondering when you were going to chime in here, but no, that's what I mean. Like, you got Jim, he's a regular caller, comes in, and I'm thinking I might have to give this guy a show of his own here. Why not, right? But you know,
I might be able to do that, but.
Well, hey, listen, I have to do a big shout out for Greg of In5D. A quick little anecdote, and there's one other one I promised Laura I would share tonight that I think will give you guys something to tingle with. But where was I going on the first anecdote? What did you say there, Jim, to trigger me?
Well, I didn't say anything. You just kind of.
Oh, Greg of In5D. Here's a little anecdote. I was talking to Greg a few weeks back, and we were going to get him for the Monday nights here on Critical Mass online. So the conversation started out with, well, I don't know if I'm kind of shy, and he is. But he does it so well, and I'm not sure if I could do a show or whatever. And then I get a call the next day and said, okay, well, yeah, we can do that. And so he was decided that he and Heidi Cole, his co-host, we're going to run the Monday nights, and then got back to me, I think about a week and a half later, and asked me about well, what do you think of, In5D Radio setting up its own blog talk platform and everything else? And I'm just chuckling to myself. I'm thinking, here we go from someone that's not sure they want to, come on the air and do a show, to running an entire platform. So that's another one too. And Greg has asked, offered up, anytime that I need another platform to, on a different time slot or whatever, just to, talk even more than I normally do. And I will graciously accept that. It's just got to work out schedules and what have you, and let's get this teamwork going. But here we go. There's another truth platform of an incredible level with In5D. I'm sure that most of the people, if not all that are listening, know of Greg and In5D. So In5D Radio with Greg Prescott and Heidi Cole. They're running. I'm not sure. I know they started the show on the Monday night. I'm not sure how many more nights a week they're going to be doing the platform, but here's a big curtsy and hats off to them for. I'm talking. That's stepping up, baby. That's stepping up. So thank you for that. And I just want to I keep forgetting to give a big plug for Greg and Heidi. So there you go. And we're making a difference. We're making a big difference. And we do it together. We do this together, guys. This is how we do this. And all you're doing to me, and have shown me in the last, especially in the last 2 weeks, but over the last few months, you're proving it. You're proving it. You're changing my world in such a beautiful way, because I get to witness it. So that is, it's the change within that I'm seeing without. As within, so without, as without, so within. And we change our world by changing ourselves. That's the only way we can do this. We cannot look for solutions outside of ourselves. The only thing you will find are the clues that you need to change yourself from within. That's your mirror reflection. That's the beauty of this other side of the looking glass that we live here in the physical universe. You might remember an occasional dream you've had when you've been off in that beautiful spiritual realm. That, of course, when your meat stick's lying, getting recharged, because it needs to. But you're off playing. We're off in the ether, doing our thing and hanging out and playing that way. So, hey, as within, so without, as above, so below. Might want to have a look at the Kabbalion or the Emerald Tablets of Thoth and get to know Creator. Creator's a poet, and it's quite a beautiful thing to behold. Another anecdote, I did want to share this, make sure I got enough time here. Well, it'll only take a minute anyway. I had shared a story with Laura today with regards to music, and my first gig down in Nashville, was it 95, I think? Anyway, I had a couple of friends down there, and I'd met them, of course, online and music stuff, and it turns out that they booked a gig there for me, so that was the first one ever going down there and started a whole chain of events going off. But when I went down there, my two friends were nurses at an elderly home. And one of the ladies that was there, and can I remember her name? No. I think it was Grace. If memory serves, it was Grace. It was an elderly lady. She'd been in this home for over 20 years. And she'd been bedridden for that long, and my one friend had asked me, would I go in and before the show, could I go in the afternoon and maybe, play her a few songs? And I said, oh, absolutely. So me and my little guitar went trucking into this home in Nashville, and big center actually for a health center, but she was up, I think it was on the 3rd or 4th floor, and went in with my friends, and she was expecting us, so she was quite delighted that I made it, and started playing a couple of songs, and within a very short time there was a large gathering of people that ended up coming into the room and hanging out, and people in the hall. It was jam packed, and I had to get ready to go, but I said to her, there's one more song that I want to play for you. And she was a Southern belle, and we're talking that beautiful Southern elegant drawl, like right off the plantation. And I played her the song Bio Lullaby, which you guys can get, by the way. It's free downloads. All my stuff is available to everyone. I'll post a link again. But the song's called Bio Lullaby. For those that have already heard it, will know what it is. And actually, if I have 3 minutes to the end of the show, we'll play it. That's how we're close tonight. We'll do that. But anyway, I finished playing the song for her, and it was I wrote the song because I'd never been in the South this lifetime, and I wrote the song about what I imagined it to be like from the To Kill a Mockingbird perspective, my all-time favorite movie. And I finished playing it, and she looked at me in this beautiful Southern drawl, and she just said, "Thank you, child. That's the first time I've been home in 20 years. And you could have knocked me over with a feather." And every time I tell that story, I get goosebumps. So.
What did she say? The first time what?
The first time she'd been home in 20 years.
Oh, nice.
The song took her home.
Job.
Yeah.
Good job.
Like I said, you could have knocked me over with a feather with that one, and that's going back, almost 20 years now. And she passed away about 3 months later, but she got her picture in the newspaper as a result of it. So it was for me it was a nice send off, and just a delightful being to be around. The aura was beautiful, and to know that she'd been there for so long, well cared for. But the fact that she was bedridden and making that statement was just jaw-dropping, of a magnitude I can't.
Good job, sister. That's all I can say. Made a difference.
Yeah, no, it's. I've had a lot of beautiful moments. That's one of the more beautiful times that I've experienced it. So I'm still waiting to see if I'm going to try to bring Laura back in, but I'm going to play Bio Lullaby. Oh, it's looking like she's offline here. I'm just going to check, and yep, she's offline. So it looks like her entire system got hacked there.
Well, that's
I love everybody.
That's a pretty good statement, Kate.
We'll tell you what. I'll throw Bio Lullaby on right now, and we might have a minute or so. But before I do that, I just want to say a great big thank you to Paul and Lisa Critical Mass for allowing us this beautiful opportunity 7 nights a week to get the word out. This is how we do this, guys. We do this together. And let me see, where's Bio? I'm just wondering if it's right down at the very bottom. No, it's got to be right at the very top because it's B. I'm so blonde. Anyway, here's Bio Lullaby, and we'll probably have a minute or so to wrap up at the end. So, great big thank you to Laura for showing up. And again, open forum, and we had some fun. Thank you, Jim. And here's Bio Lullaby, just for you.
Absolutely.
Hush now softly, can't you hear? Mockingbird, she must be near. She sings her song, the Bio Lullaby. Misty morning, lazy sun, broken only by the river run. Mississippi River, take me in your arms. Take me in your arms for just another day. Floating by, I can clearly see Baton Rouge to eternity, New Orleans backwards into time. The Delta blues are more than song, broken dreams long lost and gone like a cotton field, laying falling by the wind. But that's the way it is, that's the way it is. Wouldn't want it any other way. Friendly smiles enough to say, yeah, it'll be alright, and I don't have to worry none. Friendly word or a passing wave makes southern sense when I'm away, and I'm just glad I'm back where I belong. I'm back where I belong. All my worries, all my fears, up and leave me, they just disappear. I So much nothing, so much for taking time. 'Cause on the water or on the shore, this is home and so much more. Old man river, take me in your arms. Take me in your arms. I'm home, sweet home again. Wouldn't want it any other way. Friendly smiles enough to say, yeah, it'll be alright, and I don't have to worry none. Friendly word or a passing wave that makes southern sense when I'm away. And I'm just glad I'm back where I belong. I'm back where I belong. Hush now softly, can't you hear? The mockingbird, she must be near. She sings her song, the bio lullaby.
Bio lullaby. Yeah, you know, there are some things. Here's my request to all of you. That's where my heart really is. That's music. That's where I live. And I've taken a hiatus from that to awaken a planet. And every day I see more people awaken is one more being that's going to get me back home to where I live, music. And I cannot be more humbly grateful for that. So the sooner we get this game solved, the sooner I get back on my guitar and get some shit done. You know, there you go.
Absolutely.
Hey, you know, it's where my heart lives, so that's where I'd like to return to. And you know, we're singing the same songs though, Tony, Jim, everybody. I'm just not putting any of it to music right now, but I think it's a very clear song, and I'm loving the fact that everyone's singing in the chorus with us now. So my gratitude is boundless.
Yeah,
boundless.
Absolutely, we'll do it together, Kate. You know?
Yeah, we'll get her done. You know, we've already proven that, and it is done. We're transitioning into that now. So, great big thank you to all listeners and everyone that's been tagging on Facebook and everything else. I've done my best to keep up tonight, and I think I've done okay. But my love, and don't forget tomorrow night, Tammy Pepperman and Pat Julie on Leaving the Farm, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard. Tune in. I'll be sitting in too, I'm sure. So much love to everybody.
Yeah. Just before we go, Kate's music is downloadable on Syncrenicity, guys, so get yourself signed up as a member and get in there and go and check some other good stuff out.
There you go.
Thanks to everybody.
I was going to say, we just went to record, so keep talking.
Thanks to everybody for listening, and God bless you all.
Any last comments, Jim?
Oh.
Caught him off guard. I love it. Anything else that you want to add before we sign off for the night?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was preoccupied. I was putting pictures in. I was putting pictures into an album.
Oh, there you go. Well, that's good. Well, any last words before I sign off the show?
Just everybody realize what's going on. Keep your eyes open. Keep your ears open. And just understand that we're going through a change, and it's going to happen, and we can't help it. So you just have to be paying attention.
Agreed. That's what being awake's all about, being constantly vigilant with a constant willingness to fight back against those things that are harming others. That's all it takes. That's all it takes. And when you've had enough, well, gosh darn, you're tuned in outside the box, or cosmic blueprints, or syncretism, or where eagles soar, or leaving the farm. And
yeah. It's just a matter of, hey, I've gone to peace.
Yep.
I don't want to argue. I don't want to fight anymore. I don't want any wars anymore. I'm done. That's over. I'm moving into a new realm.
And we're already there, so we're just looking for so many more that are on their way up that pathway to that beautiful realm now. And the gates are wide open, and I know that for a fact. So I just wanted to say a great big thank you, Tony and Laura. Oh, Laura had mentioned, if for those grabbing the archive, please feel free to Facebook message her at Laura Ann Woldridge, WOOLDRIDGE, or contact me direct on Facebook at kate.rene.5, KATE.RENE.5, and I'll get you hooked up with her. And together we changed the world. It's past tense now. This world is changed, and it is for the better. And it's just, hey, I wrote a song called "It Only Gets Better From Here," and it's true. It only gets better from here. So much love to you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Thanks again, Tony, and Jim, and of course Laura, for being here, and of course all the listeners, and Critical Mass Radio, Paul, Lisa, everybody that helps make this happen on a nightly basis. I cannot be more humbly grateful. Thank you. Good night.
All I can say, Kate, is woo-hoo, let's go.
All right. Good way to end. Thanks. Take care, guys. Love you all.